Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. You're listening to the show that's designed to reveal the trends in the workplace and the workforce and the marketplace that will help you get a little bit better at what it is that you do. We find the guests that are experiencing things, that are learning things, and ask the questions that will reveal the content to people like you and me so that we can grasp some of their ideas, some of their success, and apply it to ourselves in our own business. That's been the goal of the show since the very beginning, and I'm happy to say it continues to go that way. We're beginning to collect testimonials these days from our past guests and from some of our advertisers on what the show has done for them, and I'm very proud to say it continues to do quite well. What you're going to hear today is a great story from a guy that's an entrepreneur and just decided to get into a business as he learned the need from the marketplace. And I don't want to give too much away because his story is just too good for him to not to tell it himself. And besides that, he's got this wonderful Southwest Louisiana accent that I know you're going to love just like I do as he tells his story. But essentially, it was a need in the marketplace. And not only is he applying it, he had to do the research to find out how to apply it. And did it all himself and is now doing very well in Fairhope, Alabama. And I am a customer because I first brought him to the house to apply this to the house. I met him. I saw his process. I met his team. And I thought, this is just fantastic. And I began to ask the questions that led to him appearing on the show that you'll hear in a little while. Now, one of the things you're going to get from me in the year 2021 through this show, and here's my commitment to you. I'm making this public. I'm declaring this, and I want you to hold me to it. I think the world needs a little dose of positive. The world needs a little dose of optimism. The world needs a little dose of something to look forward to. This is the first show we've put together in the new year. It's not the first one we've aired, but it's the first one we've put together in the new year. And it is my intention for the year 2021 to make sure the content of this show is positive and forward-looking and energizing and is something that are going to make people excited to hear and to learn about. And the way that I'm going to have to do that is make sure I'm asking the right questions of the right people. Now, it's not going to be a show of Pollyanna. It's not going to be a show of vapid comments and rah-rah stuff, nor is it going to be an evangelical approach to the year 2021. But this is one of two venues that I commit to you that if I can be a part of the solution through the media outlets that I have, it's going to be that we focus on the good things going on around us in our business. And I saw something in the New York Times. They do an evening summary via email. And I saw something in last night's New York Times evening summary as they interview some psychologist about what's going on in our world around us these days. And the psychologist says we need to find a well. We need to find a source of positive, of good, of helpful that we can go back to on a regular basis because goodness knows, just like me, you're tired of seeing what's going on out there. You're tired of seeing people treat each other this way. You're tired of seeing each other disrespect each other. And I've had enough. So I'm going to use this small channel that I've got in your ears as best as I can to say, my commitment is this. I'm going to find things for us to enjoy listening and celebrate and build each other up in the year 2021. That's what we're going to do. When we come back from this break, you're going to meet an energetic, positive guy named Mike Adams. He's got a tiger by the tail, and you're going to love this story. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. We'll be right back.
A cool thing happened back in '64. That's when Keith Air Conditioning opened their doors.
In my family, turn to the experts is more than a tagline. It's a promise. Every Keith technician is an experienced AC professional, and that saves you money. Speaking of money, how about 0% financing for up to 60 months on installations of new Carrier systems? Keith and Carrier, turn to the experts.
Mobile's leading name in comfort since 1964.
License number 83731.
Think about how people really see you. The kid at the drive-thru just sees a coffee drinker.
Please pull forward.
Your local barista sees the person who loves a smiley face in their latte.
See you next time.
It's kind of the same way with insurance. Other insurance companies just see a customer, but a State Farm agent sees more. They see you as a neighbor. Your State Farm agent is here to get to know who you really are, so they can help life go right.
Call me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, in Mobile at 666-1616.
You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston, and on the line with me is Mike Adams. Mike Adams is the president of E3 Termite and Pest Control based in Fairhope, Alabama, right across the bay from where I am. I came across Mike because we needed somebody to help us with termite control, and we have spray foam insulation, and they're one of the few people we could find that it would even talk to us about this. And then the more I talked to him, the more I learned the comprehensiveness of their business. And I thought, this is really impressive what's happened in the world of pest control since I first learned about it and became a homeowner years and years ago. It's changed. And this show focuses on trends that are influencing the workplace, and this is a perfect example. Mike, thank you for your time. Welcome to What's Working.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about the termite situation, if you will, here in South Alabama. It seems as if the termites have become a greater problem in our part of the world than I remember it back in the day. I'm wondering if this is a global warming phenomenon. Have we become more aware of termites? It's always been this way. Tell me what's going on out there.
Well, yeah, basically, I'm from Louisiana, by the way, and basically what's kind of happened over the past 6 months, Mobile has taken over the prime area for Formosan termites, and they took that away from New Orleans. Formosans came in on a ship back in the 60s on a crate from China, and that's why they call them Formosan termites. They came from Formosa, China. And basically, New Orleans, been battling them ever since then. But they're kind of winning the battle now. And some reason or another, they have shipped it over and decided to camp out in Mobile. No rhyme or reason behind that, but that's what's happening. It's the hub of Formosan termites now.
So I was unaware of that. The Formosan termite is an import like the red ant is from Brazil here, I think, and came through the port of Mobile into North America.
Right.
So the Formosans are not native to the North American continent. They're a Chinese insect.
Exactly. Just something else we got from China.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened. Like I say, it was late 60s, and they came in kind of crazy, but they came in on a crate, and they just took off from there and done billions of dollars in damage. I've been doing this since I was 24 years old, and I'm 56 now, and I've seen things that would make people have nightmares for damage and things like that.
So I'm familiar with the threat of the Formosan termite. I know it's something I need to be aware of. And I want to make sure you and I talk about what the damage is that they do. But I'm still curious about this entry into the port of New Orleans and their arrival now in Mobile. Did the termites not go west? Is Houston not experiencing this? Is it not like a bullseye where the impact is growing in concentric circles around New Orleans? Or did they do what so many smart New Orleanians do and leave and move to Mobile?
Yeah, there are some towards spilling over into Texas, but for some reason they're heading more east. They went into Mississippi and Alabama, Florida. They're really bad in Florida. But so, some reason they headed east, and it could be termites they have to have a moisture source in order to start up and to live and all of this. It has a big deal, I guess, with the water table. I mean, in Louisiana, the water table could be 2 feet deep. Down here, the water table is a little bit deeper. But I'm just thinking the humidity that we have over here and everything added in is just making them like heading east versus heading west for some reason. It's kind of drier as you go west.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's interesting to me. So Mobile is now the hot spot for Formosan termites. And I know, like I said, Formosans are the ones that we need to be fearful of. But there are other species of termites that cause problems, aren't there?
Correct. You're right. They are actually, like you mentioned a while ago, the termites that have been around forever and ever are actually called the native subterranean termites.
Yeah.
There are two types of subterranean termites, and that's the Formosan termite and the native subterranean termites. What that means is subterranean is they come from underground and they have to have a moisture source to survive. Now, there is a third termite that's called a drywood termite. Drywood termites are more toward the West Coast, California, over in that area. They're really bad in California, and they are above ground, and they don't need any moisture whatsoever. That's the ones where you see they put a tent over a home and they fumigate homes to get them out of the walls. So drywood termites.
You encapsulate the house and fumigate the entire house, not each room like you would a flea infestation, but the entire house from the outside in?
Correct. What they'll do is they'll seal the house. They'll put like a huge tarp. Like it looked like a circus tent, basically. And and seal it to the ground all the way around the home. And they will release a gas into the home. There's no residual to it, but the gas, when it goes into the home, seeps into the walls and kills out pretty well anything in the walls.
Yeah.
We've even seen rats and mice come out after we've done that. But mainly that's what they do. They release the gas. They leave the gas in there for a certain amount of time, and then they pull the gas back out and then take the tarp and everything like that off. It's a very, very detailed service that they do for drywoods. But the crazy thing about it is, as to the difference of what we do and what they do, their treatment is no residual left behind. So they could go in and treat that home, and 3 weeks later they could have drywood termites again.
Wow.
And it's just that usually doesn't happen that way. But if no residual, there's no way to put a residual behind, to where in our field for subterraneans we can do preventative measures and leave residuals to protect the home from future infestation.
So I'm familiar with infestations of what I'm trying to think of it, foreign animals, foreign creatures into a new habitat. Hawaii, for example, is very, very cautious about bringing anything in that may destroy the habitat because many of them don't have natural predators. Does a termite have a natural predator? And or perhaps the Formosan, which is so bad, have a natural predator or that would naturally keep them at bay?
Yes, there's one natural predator, and believe it or not, it's the ant.
The ant.
And once you break open an infestation of termites, first thing you will see is the soldier termite, and the soldier termite has snip, fangs in front that like scissors.
Yeah.
And they actually will take an ant and snip an ant in two.
Yeah.
And so basically what happens, that's whenever you break open a tube or break into any infestation, automatically you get, hundreds of these soldiers to protect the colony, and they attack the ants. Now, the ants come in so many numbers that if they do attack a colony, it's very, very possible that they actually will overcome that colony.
So the ant will overcome the termite or vice versa?
No, the ant will actually overcome the termite because they're just so many more ants in one given area that they would just overpower them and just take over. And there's more numbers in ants in one general area than termites.
So is it safe to say that if I've got an ant bed in my yard, which I do, and I usually sprinkle this ant killer around the ant bed to eliminate it, maybe I should leave that in the yard because they may be a natural defense against termites that may be coming from my neighbor's house?
Well, that kind of makes sense a little bit, but no, not really. It's not. You could have 1 million ants out there, and they're still not going to eliminate the termites you can have 1 million ant beds, and they're still not going to eliminate the termites because of the way the termites work. It just doesn't. I know I've thought that before. Hey, look, let's just attack them with ants. But the way the nature is built up, the termites are actually just so protective from ants that it doesn't work that way.
So you've mentioned the drywood termite, and you've mentioned the Formosan and the subterranean. Once a year, people talk about the termite swarms. Those are obviously in the air. They're not subterranean. Is that a different species, or is that I'm familiar with like a beehive will swarm every now and then as they relocate. Is that what I'm seeing?
No, basically what the swarming termite is, March, April, May, and most part of June, we have what's basically it's mating season for termites. And what will happen, every one of these you see are king and queen termites. They are trying to come up and find the moisture source. It can be in wall, it can be in roofs, it can be in the ground, it can be anywhere. Once they find that moisture source, they will actually start a colony right there and take off. And case in point, we went to a commercial structure just the other day. We pulled out a 2x2 foot carton, is what they call it, out of the wall. And what had happened was they had a roof leak. These Formosan swarmers went in and found that roof leak and got in between the spray foam insulation and the roof leak and started their own condominium, basically. Yeah. And so they were above ground infestation, and they did quite a bit of damage, and they were unseen. So that's basically what they do. They're trying to make a new colony, going out, any of those termites that can find moisture source will start a new colony.
Let's come back from break and talk about this spray foam insulation issue. I remember when we had part of our house remodeled, I couldn't wait to add spray foam because I understood the energy savings it would provide. And now I look back and wonder if I made the right decision due to the vulnerability it gives me with termites. Let's pick that up when we get back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. On the line with me, Mike Adams, E3 Termite and Pest Control in Fairhope. We'll be right back. Hey, this is Cam Marston. It's this time of year that lots of companies go through their strategic planning process. I'm a fan of a strategic planning model pioneered by Silicon Valley companies called Zoom Out, Zoom In. And one of the key steps in this process is to evaluate your marketplace and determine what the natural headwinds are that might prevent you from getting to your goals in 10 years. 10 years is key. Then list those headwinds. Then list the tailwinds that will naturally push you towards your goals over the next 10 years. Finally, list 2 or 3 things that you can start in the next 4 weeks that will help you deal with the headwinds and maximize the tailwinds. And do these things that you list. Get started on them. This starts you on a trajectory to meet your 10-year goals. Want more help with your strategic planning? Find me online and give me a call.
I'm Matt Armbruster with Ransom Ministries. We help people in our community that most others have given up on. Please donate your unwanted electronics to Ransom Recycling. We teach life skills, job readiness, and job creation through our electronic recycling program. We take anything with a cord. Find us at ransomministries.com, or you can call us at 251-751-0044.
Mike Adams is the president of E3 Termite and Pest Control, Fairhope, Alabama. Mike is born and raised in South Louisiana. You can hear it in his voice, that accent that always means a man that is familiar with flavorful food. Mike, prior to the break, we were talking a little bit about the spray foam insulation. Now, these spray foam insulations have been clients of mine, these manufacturers of this stuff. And when I learned about it, I thought, I got to have this. And when we remodeled a big portion of our home, we put the spray insulation in the exterior walls. And I've said aloud, if we do it again, I'm going to do it into the interior walls as well because of the noise dampening that it does. However, it sounds like this spray insulation, from what I've learned, is able to hide a termite colony, and you can't see it. Is that right?
Yes, you're correct. And that's kind of the reason I got in business. My business partner actually does spray foam insulation. he knew I knew termites. At that time, termite people and spray foam people hated each other because they caused pollen for each other. But me and him got together and became friends, and he challenged me to find a way to protect homes, against spray foam infestation, and try to go in there and fix a problem that was going to be big, and it's a huge problem for a lot of people. So I put a lot of time into it, almost a year of research and reaching out to some old friends in Louisiana and things like that, and I actually formulated a program that allows us to protect homes that already have spray foam, and also protect homes that want to put spray foam in to keep termites from forming behind the spray foam.
So it is. So you can protect a home. Let's say if I was remodeling my home again, and I knew I wanted spray foam, I could proactively contact you or the people that offer the same type of products and say, "Hey, I'm going to put spray foam in. Come in and do what? What would you do?"
Okay. Basically, long story short, what happens with spray foam insulation in a home, when you put spray foam in a roof deck or in walls or in the floors, down here with the humidity, it can actually cause a moisture source between the insulation and the wood. So what we will do is, if you do it before the home has spray foam insulation, we will treat the wood with a product called Boracare. Boracare will absorb into the wood, and it actually replaces the cellulose in the wood with a salt-based boric acid. To humans, it's perfectly safe, but to termites, it's a high salt content, and just almost like battery acid to them. They can't get around it. So, long story short, what we do is we treat that wood, and then it will protect. If termites would fly in and find the moisture source, they would die immediately, and they could not start up at all. It would just die once they come in contact with the Boracare. Now, the other thing that we do, if the spray foam, in your case, spray foam is already applied, we go in and Boracare is labeled for treating open cell spray foam. And what happens is the spray foam will actually absorb it like a sponge and do the same thing as spraying the wood. It will protect from termites landing on it and starting up. So both of those products, both of those methods help protect the termites from forming in between.
So you put the spray foam, you put your treatment on top of the spray foam. The spray foam soaks it up, and it prevents or kills the termite that may find access, though there may be moisture in there between the spray foam or in the wood between the spray foam and the roof. The termite's going to come into contact with that spray foam, and it's going to kill them on contact. Is that right?
That's correct. And I mean, early when I started this business, I had a house I did here in Fairhope on the bay. The guy called me 2 weeks later. He had Formosan termites falling out of his spray foam onto the attic floor. And basically what had happened was it absorbed into an infestation that we didn't know was there and was killing the termites. Had we not done that, they would have done damage to his roof.
Oh, man.
So I became a firm believer after I saw that.
Not just a firm believer, but a hero to that guy.
Yeah. And I've seen it. I mean, since him, I've seen it happen like that probably 3 or 4 more times. That happened. So, yeah, when you see things working like that, you become very confident in a product.
How many other people, Mike, are out there doing what you're doing? When we started shopping after we left our old termite prevention provider, we had to ask a number of places prior to someone hearing about you. And I mean, so we searched and knew we needed termite protection. But as soon as we said spray foam, most people said, nope, can't touch it, don't want any part of it. And it wasn't until I think we found a realtor who was aware of you after calling a bunch of people. How many out there are doing what you're doing?
I don't know of any as of right now that and according to the calls we're getting, I don't know of anybody out there doing what I'm doing right now. We're fielding about probably 20, 25 calls a day. And, that kind of tells me I may be the only one out there. So.
No kidding. Maybe I shouldn't have asked you that question because somebody right now has pulled their car over and is calling somebody saying, I know it. I know what we need to do. Are they not doing this in Louisiana? Are they not doing this in Mississippi where the Formosan problems are as bad?
Well, believe it or not, I went back to see family back Thanksgiving last year. And I had mentioned what I was doing over here to a friend in Louisiana. And believe it or not, now he is doing that in Louisiana and having great success with it. So I kind of helped him out on how to get started and just kind of explained to him what I was doing. And boy, he just kind of like a kid in a candy store. He just loved everything he heard that I was doing.
So E3 Termite and Pest Control is not a franchise. It's not a national organization. This is Mike Adams's business in Fairhope. Is that right?
Correct. And I do have a partner.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's two of us together here working together. And it's locally owned here in Fairhope. And, we service Baldwin and Mobile County, but we are local.
Do you feel like you're onto something big, Mike? I mean, if there aren't anybody else doing it out there, and I know spray foam will continue, the heating and insulation or the heating and cooling benefits from spray foam are just hard to deny. Do you feel like you're onto something big?
Well, it kind of scared me sometimes when I look at the growth. I mean, last January, I was doing all of the work and everything with a part-time worker just a year ago. And now, a year later, I'm about to start up a third crew. I've in a year and a half's time, I've had over 400 termite customers in my portal. So, I mean, I guess the proof is in the pudding. I think I am onto something big.
I say that with a chuckle of admiration. Your modesty is impressive, but it sounds like you've got a tiger by the tail. We've had a lot of people on the show that I've contacted them in the same chapter that you're in right now. A tiger by the tail. Their contact information, their story got to me through somebody else, kind of like yours did. You got to meet this guy. They got something going on here. Are you able? Well, I know one of the challenges that so many of both my professional as well as the people that I talk about, the radio clients is finding and hiring people. And it sounds like you're on your third crew that you're pulling together. So you'll have a total of 3 crews. How are you finding people to help solve these problems?
Yeah, that's been a nightmare because, I mean, it's just the idea of when this company is my baby. And when I want things done, I want it done, the way I would do it. And so trying to get people to have that same thought process, it's been a challenge. But I've got a pretty core group going right now that finally get it. They're going to do it my way or the highway. And they pretty well got it going that way. I actually just took on a new guy here that I'm really, really impressed with that got 15 years in the military. And he's kind of a by-the-books guy, which is kind of one of my weaknesses. And I've turned him loose on the service department side to kind of just oversee that and make sure it's done, kind of be my eyes in the field and make sure things are done as I would like them to be done. And now with that in place, that's why I'm able to grow. I've been kind of holding back. Hoping I could do something like this, because I don't want my service to go down by growing too fast.
Yeah.
So I feel like I got everything in place now to where I can start growing.
Well, that's good to hear. And boy, I remember when I started in business working with my clients like I do 20-something years ago, so many people were afraid to hire military background because they were afraid that this individual with their leadership training was going to come in and take over their company. So they held military people off kind of at a distance. I won't hire somebody from the military unless I absolutely have to. How things have changed, because today I hear people really seeking and loving their military hires, people with that background that have discipline, that know the standard operating procedure, that can follow the rules that are given to them. How many of the people that you have, Mike, have a military background? And I'm curious, do you have a military background?
No, I don't have military background. However, 3 of my employees do have military, ex-military. And I love that because they are disciplined and know how to follow directions. And like I say, kind of by the book. I mean, you say, hey, this is the way it's done. And they do it the way it's done. Try not to vary, take shortcuts or think of their own way of doing things. They're like, okay, I got to do it this way I'm going to do it. And that's all it is to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Are there any other common backgrounds in some of the hires that you've made that you feel like make a good employee? Because goodness knows the people listening struggle to find and keep good people. Other than the military, is there a background that you look for that makes the odds of a high-performing employee increase?
Well, no, they've just got to be willing to. I mean, it gets pretty hot out there. Or, the work that we do, it gets pretty hot. So they got to be kind of rough and rugged type of guy to be able to do our girl. I mean, I've got both in there, and you got to be able to handle the heat, handle the work that we do. And that's mainly what I look for. And I look for someone that is people oriented. I want them to make sure they have to take care of my customers and treat my customers properly and make me look good.
Sure. We're going to break. I want to hear when we get back how you got to Fairhope. Why, of all places from South Louisiana, you landed in Fairhope. And then what your plans are for growth. It sounds like you've got a team now, and if you've got an organized idea for growth, this show focuses on business trends, and the people that listen are often business people, and they want to hear ideas that are going to help them scale up, just like perhaps you do. So when we get back, we'll focus on that. I got Mike Adams on the phone with me, folks. He's the president of E3 Termite and Pest Control, Tiger by the tail. He's found a solution to the spray foam issue and combine it with termite prevention, and we will be back after this break. Hi, I'm Cam Marston, host of What's Working. My Carrier Infinity system is quiet, energy efficient, and runs like a dream. To keep it running smoothly, I rely on a maintenance plan from Keith Air Conditioning. With a Keith maintenance plan, your home or business receives discounts and 24/7 priority service. Give Keith Air Conditioning a call today at 251-476-3610 or visit keithair.com. Keith and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Think about your home. What do you see? Do you just see 2 stories or the stories of your toddler's first steps? Now think about your car. Do you see an odometer reading or your kids reading in the back seat? Other insurance companies just see a house. They just see a car. But a State Farm agent sees what your home and your car really mean to you. So why not give them the protection they deserve?
You can reach me, State Farm agent Allison Horner, at AllisonHorner.com.
We're back. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston. Mike Adams is the president of E3 Termite and Pest Control, Fairhope, Alabama. Mike, that Cajun accent that South Louisiana accent that I keep hearing, what got you from South Louisiana to Fairhope? How did you land in Fairhope?
Well, my wife was offered a position here in South Alabama. That it was hard for us to pass up. It was a good opportunity, so we talked about it. And being from Louisiana, I thought she was crazy. I'm going, there's no way I'm going to live in Louisiana. You got to be crazy. And we came over, checked out the area. I fell in love with Fairhope. So I said, well, let's do it. So long story short, basically we packed up and headed over to Fairhope and been here about 10 years. I'm very active in the community, active in my church, and feel more at home here than I ever have anywhere else.
That's wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. That's great. Makes me proud of my part of the world. Do people also, like I, notice that accent fairly quickly?
Probably so.
Yeah?
Yeah, they do. They do, and that's why, they pretty well, I've been labeled in the area, as they call me Cajun Mike, and I kind of took up the name, and it's easy for people to remember me, so anytime you hear Cajun Mike out there, they're probably talking about me, and hopefully it's good.
Well, Cajun Mike, my experience with you and your company has only been positive thus far, and I've referred your name out to a number of different people. Cajun Mike, if you don't mind me saying that, I think it's all been good so far. So you helped me with the spray foam issue. Are there other houses that are prone to, or building construction styles that are prone to, let's say, hiding termites that you're aware of that beyond just the spray foam? Correct.
And like on your home, we talked about treating with spray foam. I mean, that's just one step of our 3 or 4, or sometimes 5-step process that we do when we treat a house. Basically, on your home, what we did was we treated the attic where the spray foam was. We did a complete perimeter, what they call a perimeter liquid termiticide treatment around the home. And mainly what that is, you're putting a barrier up against the structure of your home all the way around the home. So when termites try to come up into your home, they go through that termiticide. They don't know they're crawling through it, and it will actually carry it and spread it out through the whole colony and kill the colony. Mm-hmm. The next step we do in a lot of places, we will use bait stations. And bait stations that we use are from BASF. I love them. I've researched them, and they're a great tool. A lot of companies use bait stations as a standalone product. I'm just not a believer in bait stations being strong enough. So I just incorporate it with my process to help to have a 1, 2, 3 punch. I tell my customers I do everything humanly possible to protect the home, and that's in a home, that's basically what I can do. Now, we all have other structures. Other homes have structures that have stucco. Stucco is really bad. It has a foam backing to it, and it will hold a lot of moisture. And termites will love to come up and get into the stucco. We have a special treatment that will protect stucco homes. We also have another service that people are having a problem with, and that's piling houses, where you have the posts going in the ground and coming up and holding up the houses, basically, down at the beach area,
sure.
Dolphin Island, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach. We have another process where we actually drill to the center of the pilings and treat with a product to the center of the piling to help termites from coming up where you can't see them. So yes, we kind of cater to homes that are challenged to protect from termites, and we're considered a premier termite company. So, if you want your house protected, the best protection you can have, that's who we are.
Yeah. Well, if you're serving the houses that are waterfront and Fairhoe, those are some beautiful homes over there. It means that your client is typically a high-end client that's going to have some expensive home construction stuff, and it sounds like you guys have found the tools to protect those types of homes.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
And it's just mainly, like I tell people, I say, look, if you really want to protect your home and you don't have to worry about, most companies will cover damage if you have damage from termites. It's kind of a given. But I said the main thing is, you've got car insurance on your car, but you don't go running up against a tree.
Right.
So, it's just like, if you don't want to go to the hassle of repairing damage in your house from termites, and you want to take every avenue you can to make sure you don't get termites, then give us a call. If you want to just go the cheap route, then that's not me.
Yeah. So give me some sense of, there's somebody right now and they're saying something's going on in my wall. I've heard something. I've seen something. The wall is taking a different look. Without, I hate to put you over a barrel, but what would a homeowner see that would make them want to pick up the phone and say, I think I got a problem here? What does it look like?
Well, the main thing you want to make sure around your home, water retention in wood is the worst thing you can have in a home. So anywhere you see rotted wood or sometimes sheetrock bubbling or something like that, showing any kind of indication of a moisture condition in a wall, that is like a chocolate cake to termites. Mm. So that's one indication. You want to make sure you keep checking your home out. Definitely keep your eye on roof leaks and things like that. Another thing that'll happen during swarm season, the termites will actually make exit holes in walls and sheetrock walls. It looks like, I don't know if you've ever seen a shotgun blast where it's just a lot of little bitty holes, pinholes in the walls. And termites, the swarmers will exit through those tiny holes and fly all over people's homes. That is the scariest thing you can see in your life when that happens. That's when we get a lot of calls in that time period. So main thing is if you start seeing any kind of little holes in your wall, definitely pick up the phone and call someone ASAP because something's going on.
We had them dropping last spring, Mike, through a vent over our stove where the stove exhausts out. And they were dropping in through that stove vent. And man, I can vouch for what you just said. It's the scariest thing you've ever seen. And in my mind, I developed this narrative that our house was completely infested, that with the slightest touch, the walls were going to fall down. It horrified me. Finally, we got somebody over there and said, no, these are swarmers. They're coming from the outside. You're okay. But for them to be swarming means that they are nearby, that there is a nest or a home or a colony nearby. Is that right?
Well, yeah, there are, 4 to 7 colonies per acre here in Alabama. So, and growing every year, of course. Termites are there. I mean, they're there, period. They're going to be there. Now, let me explain the main reason we have termites. Termites in nature, or their job is, if a tree falls down in the woods, they're supposed to take that tree and turn it into fertilizer.
Yeah.
Now, what's happening is they're coming up and thinking your house is a tree, so they want to turn it into fertilizer. Yeah. And we don't want that to happen. So just think of it as in that nature. So they are subterranean. They're living deep down in the ground, and they are everywhere. Kind of what I told my new trainee here that was in the military. I said, okay, let me put it in a military perspective. Your enemy is underground, and you need to protect my structure from your enemy any way possible with the ammunition and knowledge I give you. And that's what I need you to do. And he understood it completely. But
you know that the enemy is in the ground. You don't know where they are in the ground. You don't know which direction they're going or how fast they're moving. So it makes it an even more difficult challenge to protect that structure with the tools that you're giving them.
Correct. And they can travel within 150 feet from the colony.
150 feet from the colony.
Yes, exactly. And believe it or not, I mean, just to fill in a little bit real quick of some knowledge here, there's different breeds of termite, but one breed of termite, their main job is to go and find food. Once they find food, they'll leave a pheromone trail to let the workers know. The workers are the ones that do the damage. They go back and let the workers know, hey, there's food here, go get it.
Yeah.
Once they let them know, then guess what? Their job is to go find more food.
Yeah.
So they're constantly looking for food 24 hours a day, nonstop till they die. So, that's just their job. They're doing it. They work much harder than we do. And so they're going to try to find your house any way possible. They're going to try to find it and consume it.
Your description of the workers trying to find food and then leaving a pheromone trail reminds me a great deal of my 4 teenagers. They do the same thing.
Yes, indeed.
They leave a trail and suddenly the other 3 start coming in behind them. They've never said a word, but they say, there's new food in the house. There's new food in the house. And they find their way to where that food is.
That is right. You're correct.
Mike, how can people find you?
Easy. You can find me on the, go to e3pest.com, or you can call us at 251-278-7954.
Mike Adams, President, E3 Termite and Pest Control, Fairhope, Alabama. I'm a spray foam insulation believer. I thought for a while I was vulnerable to an extraordinarily destructive force. I guess I still am, but I've got a little confidence in it based on my experience with Cajun Mike. Mike, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for allowing me to talk to you.
We'll be back after this break with final comments. You're listening to What's Working. I'm Cam Marston.
A cool thing happened back in '64. That's when Keith Air Conditioning opened their doors. And ever since then they've earned your family's trust, fixing your AC when it bites the dust. So call Keith Air Conditioning, they're #1. Keith Air Conditioning, they get it done. Award-winning service done with pride. With Keith, you're gonna sleep in comfort tonight.
3 generations and 2 names you can count on, Keith and Carrier. Hi, this is Brent Keith. Turn to the experts is not just a tagline in my family, it's a promise. Every technician is an experienced air conditioning professional. Their money-saving experience and expertise diagnoses your problem accurately and efficiently. Speaking of money, we're offering $25 off our introductory price for a total comfort maintenance plan. And ask about our specials on new Carrier systems. Keith and Carrier, the experts you turn to.
Mobile's leading name in comfort since 1964.
License number 83731.
Special thanks to Mike Adams. I appreciate his willingness to be on the show to talk to us about what's working in his workforce, about what's working with his clients, about the growth of his organization. And I particularly love the fact that he saw a market need based on the spray foam insulation issue and researched it to the extent that he can now apply treatment to these homes with spray foam insulation, not just homes, other places as well, and give them a quality termite protection. Because goodness knows there's been some disruption in the termite industry, and I didn't think I could find anybody. Mike showed up. His team was polished. They were ready to go. I'm a fan, as you can tell. I find these companies in my interactions with folks and learn about them and say, gosh, you need to tell your story out there. It turns out, incidentally, that Mike's customer base, the types of houses that he typically targets, are similar to the homeowners that listen to this show. We began to compare our demographics, our targeted demographics, and we share a lot of the same group. Those of you listening right now are likely who Mike would want to call on. And my hope, of course, is that we can get Mike to become a bigger part of the show in new ways. And we'll work on that. That's the goal. One of the things that I do that you may not be familiar with is commentaries. And they air on a different station. They're 3 minutes long. And as a part of my commitment to positivity, I'm going to start dropping them in from time to time. So here's one that came out this fall. And hope you enjoy. It brings tears to my eyes every time I hear it. Enjoy.
On this week's episode of Keeping It Real, Cam Marston tells us about his daughter's volleyball career that will soon come to an end.
In the past 25 years or so, I bet I've watched, and this is a conservative estimate, 70 million volleyball matches. When I first met my wife, she was a collegiate volleyball coach, and I showed up to watch her teams play. I knew little of volleyball, and these were other people's kids. But I sure liked that coach, so I went to the matches. A few years later, I spent hours pushing my daughter's stroller around the UNC Charlotte gym, watching that coach, now my wife, lead her team. Her coaching came to an end after our other 3 children were born, and volleyball faded into a memory. About 8 years ago, though, that baby in the stroller, now in 8th grade, started playing. Volleyball was back. This time, though, it was difficult to watch. My only volleyball experience was watching collegiate-level players, and now I was watching little girls who would miss the ball when they tried to hit it. Serves never made it as far as the net, much less over it, and they'd stop playing to get the tails of their hair bows out of their eyes. I watched my daughter play from sidelines in gyms all across Mobile, and in a few years, all across the state and the Southeast. Volleyball was back to front and center, and now it was my child on the court. My job requires travel, and fall is the busiest part of my year. Many, many times I've called after the match for my daughter to tell me what happened as I sit in a hotel room somewhere. Parents would text me score updates, and I'd celebrate or groan 30,000 feet in the air on an airplane. COVID stopped my travel, and I've seen nearly every match this her senior year. It's been a blessing in what has been a difficult year. And as I write this, my daughter is prepping for her final matches tomorrow in Montgomery. If they win their first match, they'll go to Birmingham to play in a tournament next week for the state championship. And by the time this airs, we'll know if they advance to this next level or not. The parents and grandparents I've sat in the stands with over these many years have become dear friends. And in Montgomery tomorrow, we'll cheer and we'll cajole and we'll push and pull from our seats as we ride the emotional roller coaster each match brings, with the hope that we'll do this once more in Birmingham. Regardless of this week's outcome, though, I'm having to reckon with the fact that this chapter in my beautiful daughter's life is nearly over. And it's yet another sign that she'll be leaving home and off to college soon. And this is all reason for celebration, right? This is good, isn't it? She's growing up. She's moving on. This is what I'm supposed to want, isn't it? Maybe, probably. But I'd love just once more to watch my little girl joyful on that volleyball court with the tails of her hair bows in her eyes. I'm Cam Marston, and I'm just trying to keep it together.
To hear more of Cam Marston's commentaries, search for Keeping It Real on your favorite podcast app or find them on Facebook.
That'll wrap us up this week, everybody. If you like the commentary, you can find them as a podcast. Go to your favorite podcast site and enter Keeping It Real with Cam Marston. You can find them there. You can also find them on Facebook. Enter Keeping It Real with Cam Marston. You'll find my Facebook page where you can listen to them whenever you want. Hope you'll enjoy them. We got about 100 of them out there. They've been a labor of love. That wraps us up. Again, thanks to John Thompson. John Thompson stimulates my thinking, keeps me focused, keeps me encouraged, and gets me some coaching. John is the show's producer. He's with Eye on Digital and is a source of confidence and positivity that is out there. You can find What's Working on Facebook. You can find us online. You can find us as a podcast. I hope you'll find it, subscribe, listen to some of the previous shows, share it with your friends. Have a good week, everybody. A good one.